What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, April 9th, and hopefully we can have us a great day today. Today I am going to go over some baseball just because I've been kind of having some withdrawals making MLB videos. I know I've been doing the NBA. I wanted to do MLB today. Yes, the two video thing's been a struggle for me. I'm sure you guys have noticed that. I've had some people DMing me asking directly for baseball videos, and I know NBA's at a point now to where you're getting very, very close to play-ins and playoffs, so a lot of starters and stuff are going to start sitting soon, and you never know when and how many minutes players are going to play, so it's starting to get to a risky point at the end of the season, so I figured today might be a great day to just do a baseball video, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over every single one of these MLB games. I'm going to give you guys a couple of prize pick slips, and we'll talk about some money lines as well. So that being said, talking about our free picks from yesterday, we are coming off of a sweep on the free picks. I gave you guys this slip right here. Let me see if I can change the zoom here. Anyways, all right. But as you can see, $250 to pay $457 here. This was De'Aaron Fox for 20 points, and we bet him with Klingon over 9.5 boards. A little bit sweaty, but it did cash us out, which was a nice little $200 win. Then the other slip I gave for free was right here. It was Alexander Walker for 18 points. He ended up with 25. I did state in the video, if you want to take Walker for 20, I like him for anywhere up to 19.5. So he cashed both lines if you played him. We paired him with Wagner. I liked Wagner for 11.5. He was pretty much free. And that slip was pretty sweat-free, so $250 to win, $457 there as well. So about $414 profit on the two slips I posted yesterday for free on YouTube, so if you guys tell them. So hopefully you did. Hopefully we can run it back today and sweep the free picks. And yeah, if you guys do want to join the Discord, the link is down in the description. Discord is free to join. And if you guys are wanting to join our WAP link is down in the description as well. You can get 20% off right now with code MLB. If you guys do want to join, we'd love to have you part of the community. You get every single slip that I post and every money line I run as well as a community of 20,000 people that are willing to help you. So if you have any questions about anything, you can just send any of us a DM. We'll help you in any way that we can. And yeah, we'd love to have you guys a part of the community. But that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this baseball slate. I am going to pull this up on RotoWire for now. We're going to go over some potential weather news here. We're going to look at some pitching matchups. And then here, and in just a little bit, I'll pick a winner to win free VIP. So I just want to go ahead and throw this out there. You guys know how this video, how these videos work. If the video gets 250 likes, I'll select a random comment down below to win a free month. So make sure you guys are leaving a like and a comment on the video. You do have to be a subscriber to win. So if you guys are not subscribed, make sure you hit that sub button. And let's talk about this MLB slate, and I'll pick that winner here in just a little bit. But first, I'm not going to talk about these games individually just yet, but let's talk about weather here. So we're just going to scroll down. This is how I like to start baseball slates off. I like to make sure there's no bad weather anywhere. So you're looking at this precipitation number right here, and you're trying to find anything over 30%. Anything over 30% gets a little bit risky. So you're looking 1%, 0%, 0%, 0%, and there's only 6 games on here right now, but I'm 16% here for the White Sox versus the Royals. So this one looks a little bit... I'm not scared of it right now. We'll keep up with the radar here. I do like Seth Lugo a lot in this matchup versus the White Sox. Lugo's been pitching pretty great so far this season, and I'm not scared to take him here at home versus the White Sox. But that precipitation you have to pay attention to, because I'm pretty sure on Outlier it does show 26%, so that number is getting close to that 30% threshold, which a lot of the time, I'm not saying 30% means don't play anything from the game. I'm just saying like that's where you kind of need to pay attention to take a little bit more. If it's 1% here, like I'm not too worried about it, but. Anyways, not really any games here that we need to worry about too much. We are going to come over here to Outlier. If you guys want to try Outlier out, then you can. And this is a 6-game slate, by the way. If you want to try Outlier out, you can use a 7-day free trial link down in the description. So we're going to go over each one of these games. The first game that we have on today's slate is going to be the Reds versus the Marlins. So we have Miami playing at home. This is pretty much even odds. You got Miami at -109, a 1.5 run spread and an 8.5 run total. So if you come down here, look at the money on this one. 76% of the money on the Reds, and the Reds have just been playing phenomenal. They're 8-3 or 8-4 or something like that. Yeah, I think 8-4 on the season right now. Been really crushing it. Miami's been playing well, has been playing good as well. So they have a positive record, 58% win rate. They are playing at home. This is more of a pitcher-friendly park. So the park factor here, 22nd ranked park. You have wind blowing towards home plate, which at a slightly angled. This isn't a dome stadium, so wind isn't too much of an issue here. The good thing about this is if right now it says 65% precipitation. It's a retractable roof. which means this doesn't even matter. So it's going to be domed. Not too much we need to worry about here for the weather. So wind isn't a huge factor or a factor. And yeah, we got Max Meyer on the mound versus Louder. Now Louder has been pitching pretty good. He's had 2 starts this season. You can see he had 5 and 4 Ks in those, and the Reds have won both games that Louder started. So Louder has not been giving up very many runs. No data from last year that we can go off of, and there's no data for Louder versus this Miami offense. So literally that's going to be better for a pitcher. So I don't expect Louder to get shelled, but I will say, let's click Louder again, and we're going to come down here and look at Miami's batting versus right-handed pitchers. They've been well, that's K%. Let's do outs. So outs will show their batting average. So if you come down here and look at Miami versus a right-handed pitcher, in their last 30 games, they have the 2nd-ranked offense at a 289 batting average, the 4th-ranked offense with an on-base percentage of 36%, and their OPS is 2nd in the league at a 842. So this team has been incredibly good versus right-handed pitchers, which does worry me slightly for Louder, but we'll see what happens. I'm not planning on playing too much on Louder today, so I'm just going to kind of fill him out here and see how he does versus this Miami offense. Max Meyer on the mound for Miami. Max Meyer had a 4.73 ERA last season and a 1.42 WHIP versus the Reds. He gave up 0 runs, got a win, and had a 0.83 WHIP. You look at Max Meyer versus this offense, you have a couple batters that do pretty well versus him. De La Cruz has 6 at-bats with a 133 OPS. McClain 3 at-bats with a 667. And then you got a 933 right here. And really that's all the data we really had to go off of versus Max Meyer. But Max Meyer had a good season so far as well. You look at him, he has 6 Ks versus the Yankees. They did lose to the Yankees. It was 7-9, but that's the Yankees. I don't really the Yankees are a different breed on offense. So if the Yankees can score on you, that doesn't mean any other team's going to. You look at the first game versus the Rockies. The Rockies put up 3 runs. I'm not sure how many exactly were for Max in that game, but they did get the win, and Miami won that game. So Meyer, I'm not huge on him, but I think this is a spot where this game legitimately can go either way. I just don't know what to expect from Louder. I do like the Reds at plus money. I'm going to be honest, just because of the way they've been playing. I could see the Reds winning this game. But this is kind of a tough game to call. It really could go either way. If you like Miami, if you're a Miami fan, I'm not telling you to bet against Miami, but I am leaning the Reds in this one, and we'll see what happens. Maybe the Reds plus 1.5. It's minus 185, but maybe you could play that with something and get buy the odds down slightly. But anyways, I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this game. The next game we have is going to be the Yankees versus the A's. This game is going to be in New York. Yankees are minus 200 favorites, 1.5 run spread, 8.5 run total. Most of the money going to be on the Yankees, 86% to be exact, and 89% on the Yankees covering a 2-run spread, which is pretty crazy. Now, if you look at the A's are coming off of a 1-1 series so far against the Yankees. They won their last game. They lost the first game. Overall in the season, they've kind of struggled. The A's haven't been that good. Now, the A's are one of those offenses that they can get hot. They have some strong sluggers, and they can hit the ball out of the park if they can make contact. So depending on pitching matchups here is a huge thing for the A's. When you look at the Yankees have just been a dominant team once again. Dominated Miami, beat the Mariners pretty easily, swept the Giants, 1-1 so far versus the A's, and they're playing at home. So I don't think that the Yankees are going to want to give this game up. I don't think they want this to be the first series that they lose. So give me the Yankees here. I think the Yankees are going to win. They're minus 200 favorites for a reason here. You got Ryan Weathers on the mound versus Jeffrey Springs. Jeffrey Springs is kind of a wild card. He had a 4.11 ERA last season and a 1.21 WHIP. You look at our man Ryan Weathers. He had a 3.99 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP. So not much better than Jeffrey Springs. We can come here and look at the matchup. Ryan Weathers here. They don't have much data versus him. Rooker's the only one. And Rooker's one of those guys who can hit a home run on anybody. But Rooker has a 1.7 OPS. He has a home run and 2 RBIs for against Ryan Weathers. So Rooker, it can be scary. It can be scary against any pitcher, but you can't bank on Rooker just hitting a home run. If you're betting on home run parlays, you're probably not going to be profitable in the long run. I'm just going to throw that out there. But anyways, not a lot of data to go off of. I don't think Ryan Weathers gets shelled. And if you look at the other thing, Jeffrey Springs, not a lot of data either. There's a couple guys that have some decent amount of at-bats. Like you got Aaron Judge with 7 at-bats, Goldschmidt with 7 at-bats, and neither of them have hit very well off of Jeffrey Springs. And then you got Bellinger here with 1 at-bat, but he had a 2 OPS. So regardless, not a lot of data to go off of. Nothing looks very, very good versus Jeffrey Springs. I'm not expecting this to be some super high-scoring total. But in a matchup with the A's versus the Yankees, you can definitely get a very high scoring game. So I'm not saying take the under. I probably wouldn't risk that. Looking at the weather here, the ballpark factor, obviously 99 is kind of middle of the pack in terms of hitter versus friendly park. And then if you hitter versus pitcher park, if you look at the weather, you got a 9.2 mile per hour gust going, or wind going kind of angled towards between home plate and third base. So that's better for a pitcher, in my opinion. So nothing really that we need to look at here in terms of weather news. So give me the Yankees here. I think that Ryan Weathers can have a pretty good game. He averages around 8.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, so decently high strikeout pitcher. Look at him this season so far, he had 7 and 4 Ks in his 2 games. And then versus the A's strike out a ton, strike out 29% of the time. So I don't think that looking at Ryan Weathers for a strikeout line, I don't think it's a bad bet. If you look at his pitches, he's averaging, he had 77 pitches to game 1, 88 his last game. So I'm looking at 90-plus pitches today, at least high 80s unless he's getting shelled. So I think with that leash versus a team that strikes out so often, you do have a pretty good chance for Ryan Weathers to catch his Ks if that's a prop that you guys did want to attempt to play. Game number 3 on the slate is going to be the Tigers taking on the Twins. So we have Minnesota plus 119 underdogs at home, 8.5 run total. Most of the money is going to be on Detroit here, 85% to be exact, and 89% on them covering a 1.5 run spread. Now, when you look at these two teams, the Tigers have looked like ass lately, excuse my language, but they have looked really, really bad. You got Minnesota sweeping them. The Twins just swept them so far, 3 games in a row. They're playing game 4 of the series. Can they get their first win? We'll see. Now, I will say it is hard to beat a team 4 games in a row in baseball. It really is. You look at the Twins here, you're going to see 3 wins versus Detroit. We already talked about it. They got a 50% win rate on the season so far. That's with these 3 wins in a row. So Twins really haven't been that good this season so far. They've been kind of a letdown here for you some Minnesota fans. But Tigers the same way. I thought the Tigers were going to be pretty dang good. And right now you got Abel on the mound versus Flaherty. Now Flaherty is a guy that 2 seasons ago you'd be like, okay, he's a great pitcher. And then last season, 4.64 ERA, 127 WHIP. This season so far, he has been getting shelled. Flaherty is hard to trust. Now, I think that Flaherty has a good game tonight. I don't think he gets shelled tonight. And that's just, it's a guess, it's a hunch, it's trusting my gut, and I will be having some bets on Jack Flaherty. So let's look at Flaherty. This season he had 8 and 2 strikeouts. I wish you could see this season's ERA. I don't think it's going to show it anywhere. No, it just shows last season. So there's nothing, unless I pull it up on RotoWire again, which I closed out. I can't show you this season's ERA, but it's pretty high. He's given up quite a bit of runs. So Flaherty is struggling. You can look at his pitching outs. He only went 13 outs and then 12 outs. So he went 4 innings and then started the 5th and couldn't finish the 5th in his 2 games. And that's with 89 and 86 pitches. So he has a pretty long leash as long as he's not getting shelled. He's been getting shelled. You look at his pitching outs lately, like the dude has just not been pitching great. Okay, so Flaherty ended the season last season weak and started the season this season very, very badly. Do I think Flaherty gets destroyed by this Minnesota team? No. Minnesota overall last season had a bad offense. Last 30 games has gotten better. Still kind of middle of the pack in terms of on-base percentage and OPS. Batting average is still bottom 10. They're not an insanely good hitting team by any means. And if you look at the data versus Jack Flaherty, there's not a whole lot of batters that do very well versus him. Now, you got Lee here with 2 at-bats. So the OPS doesn't scare me too much because he hit a homer in 2 at-bats. And that data is just too skewed for me to want to take. And, I mean, you can go down and look at them. You got 3 at-bats for the other 2 that have a decent OPS. And that's the only guys you have. You got Bell here with 31 at-bats and a .713, which isn't bad, but still 31 at-bats. So decent amount of data to go off of. That is going to support the hitters more than it is the pitcher here. But I do think Flaherty has a good game. You come down here and you look at Abel, Mick Abel versus this Detroit offense. There's 0 data to go off of. And nothing really for us to look at here. This season he has 1 game so far. He pitched 84 pitches, and they got beat 7-1. So he definitely didn't have a good game. You look at him last season, he had a 6.23 ERA. So he's not a good pitcher by any means. Could give up a lot of runs. Detroit can get hot on the bats. Give me Detroit money line. I think Detroit does come out here and win. 85% of the money on them for a reason. Hopefully Flaherty just comes out here and has a good game. That's really what it comes down to. If Flaherty has one of those games where he gives up 20 runs, I don't think that Minnesota is going to lose. But we'll see what happens here. Give me Detroit money line if I had to pick. So next game is going to be the Mets versus the Diamondbacks. You got New York minus 152 favorites at home, 1.5 run spread. Once again, every game is going to be a 1.5 run spread, 7.5 run total. Most of the money going to be on the Mets money line here. We take a look at these two teams. Diamondbacks have won 50% of the games on the season. Mets have won 58%. Mets have won one of the two games so far in this series versus Arizona. And you look at their last series, they swept the Giants after pretty much, or they didn't sweep the Giants. They had a 4-game series versus the Giants, won 3 of 4, and then ended up losing versus the Cardinals the series before that. But if you look at them so far, been playing pretty decent. Just got beat 72 in their last game versus Arizona, which is a little bit scary. You got Nolan McLean on the mound versus Rodriguez. So Rodriguez last season sucked. 5.02 ERA, 153 WHIP, 18 ERA versus the Mets. The Mets shelled him. You can come down here and look at Eduardo Rodriguez right here, and you can see they do pretty dang good versus him when he's pitching. That's with a lot of data too. 15 at bats, 846, 13 at bats of 1.3 OPS. Like they pretty much shell our man Rodriguez. Now, if you look at him versus Nolan McLean, they have 0 at bats versus him. You look at McLean last season, he was 5-1, 206 ERA with 48 innings pitched and a 104 WHIP. So McLean was a very good pitcher. We will click McLean here. We're going to look at how this Arizona offense was. They had a strikeout a decent amount. We're going to click outs here so we can see their batting average. And you can see last 30 games versus the right-handed pitcher, they have had one of the worst offenses in the league. So looking at the data and how teams have been playing as of recently, I'm with the Mets here. They're minus 150 favorites. It's pretty juiced, but I think the Mets get a win here at home, and I'm willing to trust our man McLean on the mound versus Rodriguez. But I'm pretty sure Rodriguez had a good season so far out of his, I think he's pitched 2 games. Let me check, confirm that. Yeah, he's pitched 2 games. They got beat by the Dodgers 2-3, and then got beat by Atlanta 2-0. So not really getting shelled so far this season, but we'll see what happens. Give me the Mets. Next game is going to be the Royals versus the White Sox. I've already told you guys I like Seth Lugo here. You look at Kansas City, they're minus 168 favorites at home. Most of the money will be on the Royals for a reason. You come down here and look at them this season, 42% win rate versus 33% win rate. So so far the White Sox have they just got swept by the Orioles. Baltimore, for the ones that make fun of the way I say Baltimore. The Royals coming off of a 2-1 loss versus, or 2-1 loss versus Cleveland. So neither team been super strong this season. Right now, we do have K versus Lugo. Lugo last season had a 4.15 ERA and a 1.29 WHIP. You look at them versus the White Sox offense. The White Sox do not hit very well off of Lugo. You have one guy here, McGuire, with 4 at-bats and a 1.7 OPS. That's the only one you worry about. Come down here and look at Anthony K. Not any data to really go off of, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I can trust him either. Look at precipitation. It does say 26% chance, 13 miles per hour winds going kind of angled outward. So it could get a little bit sweaty with weather. I like Lugo here regardless. I think Lugo has a good game. I think his fantasy is pretty good here. You can come here and we'll pull up player props in a minute, but we'll talk about these last 2 games, then we'll do our player props. But Seth Lugo, like this game here. I'd like the Royals to win. I think this game legitimately could go either way, just depending on how well Lugo actually does. If Lugo has a good game, I think they win. If he struggles, then White Sox can definitely take this one for plus 160 if anybody wants to risk that. So up to you. Royals bats haven't been super hot, but give me the Royals to win this game. Then the last game on the slate we have is going to be the Padres versus the Rockies. This one's in San Diego. They're minus 175 favorites. You can look at this. 86% of the money is going to be on the Padres. 86% of them covering the spread. It's the Rockies. Rockies this season, 50-50 win rate. Looking a lot better than they just started last season. Swept Houston 3 games in a row. Looking pretty dang strong. And these are dominant victories. 9-1, 5-1, 9-7. So their bats have been batting. They are a hot team. Looking at the Padres coming off of a 2-1 win versus the Pirates. Before that, 2-1 win versus Boston, 50% win rate. Their bats have been pretty good as well, 8-2, 5-0, 8-6. So they've been putting up some big numbers as well. Now you got Randy Vasquez on the mound versus I think Dollander's supposed to start today, and I could be wrong on that. Pretty sure it's Dollander, and this shows no data right now, and it's hard for me to. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Dollander. Or Dolander, however you want to say his name. But Dollander, looking at Randy Vasquez last season, 3.84 ERA, 1.32 WHIP. We can look at Randy this season. So 6 Ks and 2 Ks in his first 2 games. They've won both games. Vasquez has been pitching pretty dang good. He's getting around 90 pitches per game. He has a decently long leash right now. We're going to hit outs here so we can see this Colorado offense. Top 10 offense in the league as of the last 30 games. Last season overall, one of the worst offenses in the league. So you can see they've gotten a lot better at hitting, or they're hitting very good as of lately. I still trust Randy Vasquez here. I think Vasquez has a good game. I think they win, and the Rockies strike out a lot. Plus, it's in San Diego, so give me the Padres to win this game. I think they can get a dub here, but this one could be sweaty, and the Colorado Rockies could pull out a win. But let's pull up player props. I'm gonna give you guys 2 slips that I ran for you guys. I'm gonna pull up the first one right here on Prize Picks. The other one's on Underdog. So the first one we have is gonna be Seth Lugo with Randy Vasquez. I put 150. This one pays out 450. I took Lugo and Vasquez fantasy. They're both 29. Now, let's talk about this. This is posted in the Discord already. I locked it in about 30 minutes ago. We got Lugo at 29, Vasquez at 29. Both these fantasy scores are not super high. If both teams win, if both pitchers get a win here, this is for sure should be a cash for us. But Vasquez is going against a hot Rockies team that strike out a lot. So we just have to hope Vasquez doesn't get teed off on. If Vasquez doesn't give up a lot of runs, I think he's going to get a decent amount of strikeouts. So let's pull this up. We'll pull up Vasquez first. So we got Randy Vasquez here. We're going to pull up his Ks because we're going to look at his strikeout count. He's not a very high strikeout pitcher, I will say that. 4.5 is his line for pretty much even odds, minus 117, whatever. Randy Vasquez averaged 5.25 Ks per 9 innings versus Colorado, who averaged 8.5. So I'm looking at the head-to-head data here. He had 9 Ks his last game versus Colorado, 5 and 3 the game before that. So let's say he gives us 4 Ks. Okay, let's say 4 Ks is a pretty reasonable number versus the Rockies. You look at the Rockies, they strike out 24% of the time. Last season, they struck out 26.4% of the time overall. So regardless of how they're hitting now, they still strike out a lot, and they will swing. Vasquez, say he gives us 4 Ks, that's going to be 12 fantasy right there. If he goes 5 innings, that'll be another 15 fantasy, which puts you at 27. And then if he gets a win, then that gives you another 6. So you got fantasy like that. If he could get a quality start, he could go 6 innings. He could get way more strikeouts. I don't think he gives us less than 4. Now, you also have to think, well, if he gives up some earned runs, it's going to be -3 for each earned run. That is true, but I don't think he's going to get shelled today. I don't think he does. I'm trusting Randy Vasquez here. I'm thinking he gets 5 innings. I'm thinking the Rockies are able to get a dub. I'm thinking Vasquez can get the win. I'm thinking Vasquez can, he's pitching 90 pitches. He can potentially go 6 innings. If he goes 6 innings and gives up less than 3 runs, we get a quality start, which is an extra 4 fantasy. So he could potentially get 10 fantasy with the win and with the quality start. Add that with your 5 innings, and he pretty much cashes the line that they're with 0 strikeouts. And I think he has a pretty decent strikeout game here today versus the Rockies. But that's what I got for Randy Vasquez. I think he gives us the fantasy score. You can look at his fantasy score this season. He had 52 in game 1. Then he had 28, barely hooking this number in game 2. But he also, I think, gave up some runs that game, which brought it down, or he would have cashed. Look at his head-to-head versus the Rockies. He went over fantasy all 3 games versus the Rockies. So I like Randy Vasquez here, which is one reason I locked him in. Seth Lugo was the other one versus the White Sox. The White Sox strike out a lot, so let's pull it up. What are we looking for? What am I talking about? Lugo. So I almost typed in White Sox is why I said that. But anyways, let's look at Seth Lugo here. So we're going to click his strikeouts. Strikeouts so far this season, he had 7 and 3 in his 2 games. One was versus Milwaukee, one was versus the Braves. He averages 7.75 strikeouts per 9 innings, so he's not a super high strikeout pitcher. Head-to-head versus the White Sox, he had 3 and 5. Another guy that we have to look at and assume he gets around at minimum 3 to 4 Ks. Well, I'm going to say 4 is a number that I'm looking at. If he goes under 4.5, I think he gets 4. We're going against a team that strikes out more than about any other team in the league. They strike out almost 30% of the time. 1 of every 3 batters almost strikes out. So you're looking at a K per inning on average versus this team. And if you have a guy who, we get one lucky inning and he strikes out the side or something, his fantasy is going to go way up. So I don't dislike this at all. We've already looked. They don't hit well off of him. It's a team that strikes out a lot. It's a team that he should be able to go 5 to 6 innings against pretty easily. He had 103 pitches his last game versus the Brewers, so he has a long leash. This is a spot where we can get some decent lines for Lugo. I think Lugo gets a quality start. I think he goes 6 innings. I think he gives us 4 to 6 Ks on minimum, and then I think that he gets a win here as well. So give me Seth Lugo. I think he cashes it. The only thing that hurts us here is weather. If something happens and he gets rained out, we're going to chalk. Unless the rain is like a 10-minute rain, they put him back in. That's one thing you have to remember in baseball is weather can kill you. So you got to look at it. It does say 26% here, so we'll see. I like Seth Lugo. I think he has a good game, and I'm willing to take a chance on him. That's why I locked in this slip for a 3X. If anybody wants to tell. Now, I wouldn't take any bumps on this. Maybe 30. 30 would be the highest I would take on either of these. If it goes any higher than that, fade it. If it goes any higher than that to like 33 or something, you can take the under. And always check Underdog. Underdog value might be a little bit better right now. Prize Picks drops their fantasy lines at like 9 a.m. Eastern time. So, I literally sat here and waited till 9 a.m. to make a video. That way the lines would come out. And I locked in the lines I saw that were low in my opinion, and these were two of them. So if it's better on Underdog, lock it in there. I did not get a chance to check. I will say that. I was trying to be quick. But Lugo and Vasquez is going to be slip number 1. Now, before we jump into our second slip, I do want to pick a winner from yesterday's video. So you guys already know, 250 likes. I pick a winner from the comments to win free VIP. Let's pick our winner from yesterday. So the winner is going to be for Tremaine Brown. It said Baltimore sounds a little more south than Baltimore. Yeah, it does. It does, man. I knew there was going to be more Baltimore comments. But Tremaine, send me a message on Discord, my man. All love, and I'll get you added for that free month of VIP. Appreciate the love and support from every one of you guys. And let's talk about our second slip of the day. So second slip of the day, I ran on Underdog. This is for a 40% profit boost. I ran this. I took Nolan McLean for five innings. Randy Vasquez for 5 innings, and then Jack Flaherty for 5 innings. So this is where I said I think Flaherty goes 5. Now, if you play this on Prize Picks, they do have a demon line at 15.5 outs. I think Flaherty gives us 16 outs if you want to run it. But I ran this. It's 50 to win, 103 with the profit boost. Obviously, these are discounted lines. Vasquez, I already said I think he gets a win, so I think Vasquez goes 5 innings for sure. Nolan McLean has a good matchup versus Arizona. I think he goes 5 innings. And then Jack Flaherty, I think he goes 5. So I'll lock this in if you want to tell it. I'm not going to pull these up on here. I mean, we can if you really want to. I've already looked at Vasquez. We'll pull McLean up one more time. I'll just go ahead and show him. So Nolan McLean, outs. We're going to put it at 14.5, custom. Here we go. Every game last season he cashed. Every game this season so far he's cashed. And he's going to get 90-plus pitches today. He should be able to give it to us. And then Jack Flaherty's going to be a little bit worse, I will say, just because of how he ended last season. But if we pull it up, put him at 14.5. Last season he ended off weak, but he had a 67% hit rate. He's been under both games so far this season. So, yes, hit rate doesn't look great for Flaherty. I told you Flaherty sucked, but I do think he has a better game. So that's what I got for today, guys. Lock them in if you like them. Fade them if you don't. I hope you guys have a great day. We do have a nice NBA slate. I am going to be talking about these NBA or playing props from these NBA games. Have a decent slate. But if you guys want the plays, join the Discord. Love to have you guys a part of it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.